Label Radio.
And we was laughing because Dre on that song talked about he don't smoke cess because it gives you brain damage, and then he puts out an album called The Chronic. And Jerry was telling me, I guess back in your day, only jazz musicians smoke marijuana. It was like taboo to do any drugs, right?
Oh yeah, I mean people just didn't do it. Beside that, you know, where I grew up in Ohio, you could do 25 years for having a joint.
Really?
Sure.
Damn, 25 years for a joint? That's crazy. Now it's legal.
Yeah.
Go figure. So we talked about the good old days, and then all things fell apart, and you said it stopped being fun. What was the energy like around the office, Eazy and yourself, once, you know, Suge got in the mix and things started to not be fun anymore? What was the energy like?
Well, the energy was different. Okay? First of all, I grew up in Cleveland on the same block as Bone Thugs and Harmony. I mean, I carried a gun when I was 11 years old. So, I mean, nobody was scared. Okay? Eazy wasn't afraid of Suge Knight. We just were cautious. And we made sure that we weren't put in a position where we could be ambushed or whatever. So, you know, it just changed everything. So, and it made it stop. Before that, it was all fun, man. We're laughing and giggling, all going out to dinner together. And then it was people searching your house before you got home, you know, to make sure that nobody was there.
So how's it now? I mean, that's 15 years, 20 years ago. And how is it now for you as far as seeing like Dre do big things and see Ice Cube do big things and see, you know, the legacy that you kind of sparked do big things? How is it for you now?
I'm very proud of them. You know, I'm as proud as could be. So we're not friends. You know, I was part of that process. If it wasn't for Eazy and I truly believe they wouldn't be where they are now. So I'm very proud of their accomplishments. I'm glad they're doing well. Do I go to dinner with Ice Cube? I don't think so.
Would you ever sit down with Ice Cube?
Would I? I think that he made that impossible when he wrote No Vaseline. How can you be a nigger for life crew with a white Jew like Jerry Heller telling you what to do? You know, I'm going to shoot that Jew in the temple.
That cut you deep, huh?
Well, it's not something that one man can really say to another man and then expect to be friends with him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think that. First of all, if I thought that he meant it, I think he was looking to sell records and didn't like me. He wrote Black Korea. I don't think that he hated all Black Korean store owners.
Yeah.
I mean,
Korean store owners, yeah.
Right. So, but, I resented that song. And I don't think that I could ever forgive that, just like I don't think that he could forgive the fact that I chose Eazy. You know, Eazy was my guy.
He brought you to the dance. So like you said, you're going to leave with who brought you to the dance.
Right. So, you know, Brian Turner enabled Ice Cube. And I saw Brian Turner in Palm Desert not too long ago. And he said, how can you blame me and this and that? And I said, you know, Brian, thinking about it, I don't really blame you for Ice Cube leaving the group, but I think you enabled him to leave the group.
Yeah, he put the battery in his back to say, hey, I got your back to go.
So when you take a group, I mean, you know what? Every person in the world would have loved to heard another N.W.A. record. I would have loved to heard one. I would have walked away in a second if I thought that it would meant Cube and Dre coming back to do another record with N.W.A.
Is that really true? Because you said that several times. So right now, if Eazy was still alive, or when he was still alive, and they were trying to talk about putting a record back together, you would have stepped out the picture, not been involved at all, if that meant getting them all back together to do a record.
Absolutely. We're talking about history. I mean, I wouldn't have stood in the way of history, and Eazy would have. We talked about it. He would have expected me to step out of the way because my job was to protect the assets of Ruthless and do what was right for him and the company, which I always tried to do. Sure, I would have stepped away in a second if I thought that N.W.A. could have had another couple of records.
Wow. Wow, that's big. I mean, that's big because that means it wasn't about the money for you. It was about the movement.
Well, it was about, It was about what they did together and what they could have done together. And look, I mean, at the very height of their career, the group broke up.
Even after No Vaseline, you'd have still been okay with like getting those guys back together and saying, you know what, this is bigger than me. I'm gonna step away and let you guys do it.
I wouldn't have been part of it, so sure.
Yeah.
That would have been between Eazy and Cube and Dre then.
Wow. And during this time when they were throwing shots at you, and Dre was throwing shots at you, Ice Cube was throwing shots at you, and you was thinking about writing a book and whatnot. Did you ever think about coming out and saying, you know what, these guys are lying about this stuff. I'm going to take a lie detector test to let them know that I'm telling the truth and they're not. And did you ever think about challenging them to a lie detector test?
Well, that's not going to happen. You know that
of course not.
That nobody's going to do that.
Yeah.
But I did write a reality show that sort of was made on that premise, which I haven't sold yet. But, I am doing another show that, when I wrote this book, Ruthless, I asked a lot of people for quotes. And I got a quote from will.i.am, who was signed to Ruthless, by the way.
Yeah.
I got a quote from will.i.am, who said, Jerry Heller taught me everything about the business and how to protect myself and whatever. We signed him when he was 16 or 17. Irving Azoff, who certainly is the single most powerful man in the history of the music business. I mean, the man owned Live Nation, Ticketmaster, has managed the Eagles since 1973, and Christina Aguilera, and Aerosmith, and 200 of the biggest groups in the world.
Wow.
And owns the Forum. So he wrote on the back, Jerry Heller taught me everything I knew about the music business. Okay. So I asked Ice-T for a quote. And Ice-T said, I met Jerry Heller and didn't trust him. So I put that right next to the good thing. If you want people to believe what you're saying, you got to tell them everything.
Why did Ice-T say that?
That's what he thought. He met me and he didn't trust me. Okay. He's entitled to put that on the back of the record. I never did any business with him, but he met me and he didn't trust me. I'm okay with that. That's his opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
That's true.
I put it on the book. I also put, Jerry Heller's the smartest guy I ever met. And that was my quote. I said that I wrote
to yourself, yeah.
Sure, I wrote Jerry Heller. But in 1970, a kid wrote me a letter from the University of Illinois. He was a freshman. He wanted a job. He wanted to be in the music business. I liked his letter. He was a freshman. I said, if you can afford to fly out here, I said, I'll talk to you and interview you. So he flew out and I liked him. And his name was Irving Azoff. So here's the most important guy in the history of the music business, that I hired because he wrote me a letter from college.
Wow.
And we probably talk 30 times a day.
Wow.
Okay, we're still friends. We don't do a lot of business together, but we're still very close friends.
What did your friends, okay, so you have all these friends. What was your friends telling you during the height of the beef and all the back and forth stuff? What were your friends telling you?
I don't quite understand that question.
Like, I'm sure, like you say, you talked to, Mr. Azoff 30 times a day. You was talking to a lot of people different times a day. I'm sure they were calling for your safety and your concern. Did they ever tell you to kind of like, hey, Jerry, you need to get out of this mix?
Well, a few of them did. And Irving said to me, come on over, I'll get Mo to buy your company and you'll come inside and this and that. But I said, Irving, it's not what I do.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I do. That's what I like to do. He said, Jerry, music business is over. The only thing that matters now is touring and merchandising.
Yep.
He said that's all that, he said this to me like in 1991 or something. Touring and merchandising. But it's not what I do. I'm real happy with what I do. I like the music business. I like being with creative people. Most of the people that hang around you are people that are looking to better themselves, okay? So not a lot of people were telling me, you better get out because Suge Knight's going to kick your ass. You know, Suge Knight wasn't going to kick my ass.
Yeah.
You know, so he did. You know, they got Eazy right across the street at the old Solar.
Down on Cahuenga, yeah, right? Yeah.
But, you know, Eazy rolled by himself. He was fearless. He was afraid of nobody.
He always rode. It's funny, my cousin said he loved that white 850 BMW, and he will always be by himself with 3 or 4 phones and a couple pagers, and he was always by himself.
He had a lot of cars, but that was one of his favorites.
That was one of his favorites, yeah.
And he rolled by himself. He was fearless.
Yeah.
He was a little guy. But he was a tough guy.
So after N.W.A. disbanded and you guys were kind of doing your thing, you came across another great group, Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Right.
When Eazy called you on the telephone from Cleveland, you heard the excitement in his voice.
Right.
Was it the same excitement that he had when he was talking about N.W.A., or was it different?
Same excitement.
Same excitement?
That same was coming from the same creative center of his brain, of his heart. He heard him. Actually, the bodyguards heard him outside wrapping around an oil barrel because it was Cleveland.
Yeah.
It was cold and Eazy was playing. It was the middle of winter. And they brought him in and they rapped for Eazy. And Eazy liked him and called me on the phone in the middle of the night and had me listen to him. And he said, we got to get these guys, you know, to California. And I sent him bus tickets. Well, I didn't want him getting here before Eric got back.
Okay.
So
you put him on a bus.
We put him on
from
a
Cleveland.
bus. Yeah.
Took him like 3 or 4 days to get here. Yeah.
Yeah. And when they got here, Eazy was here. We put him in a motel or whatever. And you know, that started Bone Thugs and Harmony.
And they had an amazing EP. You guys put the EP out and you had an amazing EP. But then things started to, you know, take a turn for the worse or whatever. And you wasn't around when the East 1999 album actually came out. You was there for its first inception, but you wasn't around when the album actually came out.
That album was finished in August of 1994.
Okay.
They didn't put it out until I think July or August of 1995 after Eazy had passed away.
And you said that in your book, you said that this Bone Thugs Harmony album could surpass Michael Jackson's Thriller at 15, 20, 30 million records sold, right?
If they would have known what they were, I shouldn't get into that.
So if you knew that this album was kind of there, why did you leave Ruthless Records before it actually came out? Since you kind of knew that this was your baby and you guys worked on it, why did you leave it?
Eazy died, man. There was nothing left for me. When he died, that was it for me. There was nothing left for me at Ruthless. So when he left this earth, a couple weeks before, I left Ruthless.
Okay. And then the album comes out, it does, what, 5 or 6 million, something like that?
Actually, it's Diamond, so it did at least 10.
Now, but at the time when it came out, it was at 5 million and
whatever.
And you were like, it should have did more.
Well, it should have done more because strategy-wise, they should have put out Crossroads first.
I agree.
Crossroads is one of the best singles that I've ever heard in rap music.
You're right. And they put out, it was a fourth single?
I think it was fourth, and by that time the album had really
fizzled out,
run its course, you know? And but if they would have put Crossroads out first, that album would have sold 40 million copies. I mean, they were doing something that nobody else ever did. Whoever layered vocals like they did. And, you know, Tony C and Unique, you know, produced that record. And it was great. The only reason that Creeping on a Come Up didn't get the acclaim that it did, it only had 6 or 7 songs on it, which was one beneath the limit to be on Billboard's Hot 200. That would have been a #1 record, but it didn't have enough songs on it to qualify as an album. It qualified as an EP.
Why you guys didn't put it? Because you knew that. I mean, being a business guy, you knew that. Why you didn't put another song on there?
When you put out a record, you don't expect it to sell millions and millions of copies. They've delivered a record to us. we put it out.
Okay.
And that was the record. And then, yes, we should have, first of all, we should have done it because we would have made much more money if we, as an album than it would have as an EP. EP sold for less money. And it just wasn't something that we thought or talked about. We put it out because that's what it was.
Are you still cordial and cool with the Bone Thugs and Harmony guys?
I'm not cool with them because they talk shit about me.
Oh.
The only one I'm really cool with is Busy. And I talk to him and see him once in a while.
But why they talk shit about you? Everybody talks shit about you, but why do Bone Thugs and Harmony talk shit about you?
Why?
Yeah.
They tell people that they think I killed Eazy.
But it's funny because I've heard that story around the water cooler several times, and it's hard to believe if, AKA, you're stealing money for Eazy. If I go by what they're saying, and you're stealing money from this man, and he's a cash cow, why would you kill the cash cow?
Well,
if that was the premise.
Well, obviously, you're a lot smarter than most of the people that talk about that, because all I say is, who had the most to gain from Eazy dying?
You said that.
I'm the only person that didn't gain from it.
You said that a lot, and you look back on it. You look back on this like, if he's the cash cow and you say that he was stealing from this man, why would he kill the cash cow?
Well, it makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
I would kill the goose that
laid the golden egg. Yeah.
I mean, it makes no sense. So, you know something?
So, but you're still cool with Busy Bone?
Very cool. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
And they have a sort of a management team. Jamie Adler and Steve LaBelle, who I'm very fond of.
Big shout out to Jamie Adler, because he's the reason why you're here. Because I know it was he spoke up highly about us, and then it put you at ease to get here. So big shout out to my man Jamie Adler.
Yeah, he's in New York, and he's a good friend of mine. I knew his dad in Cleveland, and we're all from the same place and
the same circles. Nice.
He's a good guy, and he has a couple important meetings back in New York that could change his life.
That's dope. Yeah, M&J works with him. So yeah, he's definitely a dynamite guy. And shout out to him for getting you in the building,
Yeah, I like Jamie. I trust him too, obviously.
Of course. You trust him enough to come,
Right.
So now we get to the present day, and they're putting out a movie about N.W.A. What are your thoughts about the movie?
Well, until I see it, I have no comment about it. They haven't asked me to participate in it, so I think that it's inappropriate for me to comment on something that I haven't seen. So when I see the movie, and I'll be there opening night with my lawyers, believe me.
So what was your thoughts? Okay, because I've seen a few interviews with you, and you say the same thing in every interview. Like, I haven't seen it, so I don't know what to think about it. But what is your thought when you heard that they were putting together a movie? What was your initial reaction to the idea?
How can they possibly do it without me? There's only two people that know everything, and one of them isn't here anymore. So how could they possibly put out a movie without having me involved? So they've let their personal feelings overshadow common sense. I should be involved, and I should have been involved in that movie.
But going back to what you said, you would never sit down with Ice Cube because you wrote No Vaseline. Would you ever be a part of this movie? If they invited you to the table, would you ever be comfortable enough to be a part of this process because of that whole No Vaseline thing?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have hugged and kissed him, but I mean, I would have been a consultant. I'm a consultant to a lot of companies.
Okay.
So sure, I would have given my advice, and at least I would have made sure that everything they do is authentic.
Okay.
Now I heard, and I don't know, see, once again, I heard this from Doug Young. I don't know if it's firsthand, secondhand, whatever. I heard that everybody is complaining because you can see that it wasn't filmed in Compton. See, at Ruthless, we never did that. We did all our videos in Compton to make sure that we could safely do all of our filming in Compton. So they were complaining. I heard today that they're going back now they have to go back and shoot a lot of scenes in Compton.
Wow, that's deep.
I don't know for a fact. I mean, this is hearsay.
So when the movie comes out, you're gonna be right there opening day with your lawyers looking at what's going on.
Right, and if they've portrayed me properly, then I'm gonna give my honest opinion on the film. I mean, Ice Cube is obviously a talented filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I will give my honest comments on it. If they haven't portrayed me properly, I'm not going to let anyone get away with that.
Okay. So we'll have to stay tuned then, huh?
Yeah, I'm anxious to see it.
I'm anxious to see it too. It's somebody. Have you seen the trailer at least?
I just saw that trailer that someone did on their cell phone, I think.
Somebody leaked the trailer.
Yeah. And then I couldn't even open it right. Yeah, I don't think that I don't even remember seeing. I don't think I saw it. Maybe.
Well, me being a hip hop fan and a hip hop guy, I seen the trailer. Somebody asked me, "What do you think about the trailer and the movie?" And I was disappointed because we, as hip hop generation, we deserve a movie like they did Ray. When they did Ray, it was an actual movie. It was put together well. But we get these biopics like Whitney or Aaliyah, and it's half-assed done, And from the trailer, it seemed to go in that lane more so than the movie like they did with even Eminem did 8 Mile. It was a well put together movie.
The rest of them that you just said, it's all about the Benjamins, man.
Yeah,
that's what it's about.
And it's sad.
I couldn't watch. To be honest with you, I couldn't watch the Whitney. I knew Whitney. I know Bobby way too well, and I couldn't watch it. It was just. And the guy that played Clive Davis, they should have let Clive Davis play Clive Davis. Clive Davis.
He's still around, right?
He's bigger than life, man. He's the only guy that can play Clive Davis.
I think these artists deserve more.
I agree with you.
Now they're talking about doing a Tupac biopic. Anytime they attach the word biopic to a film, it just has a taste in my mouth because I watched Aaliyah and all the rest of these other biopics, and it's like, why we need a biopic? Let's get a major motion picture.
I think that Ray set the standard. Ali.
Yep.
Now you're talking about great movies.
Yes.
In fact, I watch all the time. I watch Turner Classics a lot, and they show that Temptations movie, all 4.5 or 5 hours.
It's long as hell, but it's good. It's good.
And it's really good.
The 5 Heartbeats was good,
5 Heartbeats was very good.
It was good.
Those were really good films.
Yeah.
Evita. I mean,
yes.
When you gotta portray people honestly and properly. Now,
would you ever do an N.W.A movie on your own? Like, would you ever put together something and do it yourself?
I think that movies are going the way of music. I think movies are really over as we know them.
Okay.
Television is the new movies. And the biggest stars in the world
are going back to TV. Huh?
They do TV now.
They do commercials.
That's where all the money is. So that's where the Benjamins are.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a series with James Sheridan directing. James Sheridan has won several Academy Awards.
Yes.
He won My Left Foot. He did all the Daniel Day-Lewis movies. Okay. I'm interviewing the writers that did Ali.
Okay.
I had dinner with Carter Harris the other night, who did Bloodline, Robbery Homicide, who was a Rolling Stone and Source writer. I don't know if you remember him, Carter Harris, who was just absolutely above reproach and a great, great writer. So as soon as I get the writer in place, then I'm going to start. My distribution company is ITV, which is the biggest single studio in the world.
Wow.
It's an English company, and they're the biggest studio in the world. And that's who I made my deal with. That's the kind of people that I deal with.
So basically what you said is, I'm Jerry Heller and the show don't stop.
Yeah, that's it.
You keep it moving.
You said it.
So people have a misconception of you. And And that after reading your book, I definitely, have a different view of you. Like I said, I was around, like I said, my cousin was around a lot of that stuff. So he told me stories that he was like, I don't understand why these guys are mad at him, because Eazy never said anything foul about them. And after I started reading your book, you said only people that was in the office was me and Eazy. So how do they know what was going on in the inner circle if they wasn't inside the circle? And then you start to do some research and it makes sense. That coming out. You're on Facebook. Do you get a lot of hate mail on Facebook?
I get several hundred Facebook, whatever you call it, a day. I would say that 397 of them want me to listen to something or watch something, a YouTube thing of theirs.
Yeah.
They're very respectful. I answer every single one. So when I do that, I mean, it really freaks them out.
I mean, that's how we connected. I reached out to you via Facebook, and then you responded, and I was shocked. I was like, damn.
I respond to every single thing.
And you respond
Facebook.
pretty free. We was going back and forth for quite some time, and you respond, and I was impressed because, like you said, the artist J.R. Ewing came to you, and he thought he was meeting the devil or whatever. That's the perception of it, because you don't talk a lot about who you are. So of course the perception is what we hear on the radio and on these songs or whatever. But there's a few sides to every story. And the fact that you actually communicate, it was shocking to me.
Yeah, I do that as long as people are polite.
Yes.
Okay, and I tell them, if they say, well, I got this album, I say just send your best cut. Just one.
Just one.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we'll see where it goes from there. And, I'm happy to give people advice. I'm having breakfast with some kid in the Valley that has been writing me, and I'm having breakfast with him next week in Calabasas.
So have you found, has anything come across your desk that made you feel like what Eazy handed you in 1987?
That'll never happen again.
Never
happen again. But there are.
But wait, but wasn't Bone Thugs in that kind of category? As far as it wasn't. Nowhere near.
Bone Thugs made a great record. They didn't change the world.
Yeah, that's
N.W.A. changed the world. I mean, Compton wasn't on the map of the city of Los Angeles. They put Compton on the map. They made Compton the third largest music city in the world. L.A., New York, Compton. Not London, not Tokyo, not Nashville. Compton was the third largest music city in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys what they did was phenomenal, and it doesn't happen that often. Bone Thugs-n-Harmony made a great record. And if Eazy wouldn't have died, they probably would have become the biggest group in the world, because they're very difficult guys to control.
Even to this day, I mean, I hear stories about them as adults still being kind of difficult. So
they're very difficult.
Yeah.
So it took Eazy and I full time just keeping them interested in what they should be doing, and that's making great music, which they did.
Yeah.
So, but change the world? I don't think so.
No.
N.W.A, man, they changed the world.
One of the greatest groups of all time.
Absolutely. On a par. The LA Times called them two things. They called Straight Outta Compton the album that changed the world, and they called them the world's most dangerous group. And they were dangerous because of what they did with people's minds. Okay? And I still say that I have never met a person, never once met a person, because I always ask this question. Do you remember where you were when you heard Straight Outta Compton for the first time? And I've never met a person that can't tell me exactly where. I was coming from church and I was in the car with my mother and father and I put this on and wow.
I was at the rodeo swap meet and Steve put it on and he played it and I was like, what the hell is this?
Man.
I made my mom buy it and she was like, she didn't hear it. I just told her, yo, you need to buy this, Mom. And she bought it and she's like, what the hell is this? I was like, this is that next level.
It's funny because Kmart, which was a very big store like Walmart is
Yes,
now.
yes.
Okay? So they called me up and they said, we'll order 300,000 if you clean it up. So I talked to Eazy about it, and he said, no, we can't do that. I said, yeah, this is 300,000 units, and we're talking about a couple of $1 million, you know.
Yeah.
So he let me do it. And we used to get calls every day from 12-year-old kids who would say, I bought that record, man, and I'll never buy another one, none of your records. What happened to all the swear words? And, you know. So we used to send them one of everything. We used to FedEx them. Any kid that called that wasn't happy with that, we'd send them like one of everything. And
Wow.
And then every week, some of the guys would come in and answer the phone, you know. And a kid would be on the phone and he'd say, and I speak to Eazy, he's not here. Who's this? Oh, this is Dr. Dre. No way. No,
Wow.
no way, man. And, you know, and that's what we would do. You know, we were part of the people.
Yes.
We weren't in those ivory towers on 52nd and 6th in New York, you know, those 60-story buildings. We had this little office, man, in Woodland Hills. And the guys, you know, they took great pride in what we did.
Yes.
And I think, honestly, that in the beginning, Eazy and I were the only two that really understood. I think that the other guys thought we're going to make a lot of money doing this.
Yeah.
Okay? I think that Eazy and I probably were the only ones that understood the sociological impact that Straight Outta Compton was going to have.
Wow.
I think. I don't know. I've never asked them.
Of course, they'll say, yes, I did after the fact, but at the time, they, you know.
I don't know. So whatever. I give them the credit.
So before we leave, we talked about Ice Cube and Dr. Dre and, of course, Eazy, rest in peace. What is your relationship with MC Ren? Because he was kind of like the quiet guy of the crew, but he was, I think, one of the most dangerous ones in the crew.
He was very close with Eazy. And they were very close friends. I've never seen him again after Eazy died. I never saw him again.
And he's never said anything bad about you either.
Well, I got nothing bad to say about him.
I know.
He was a tough guy. He was a great rapper. He was a street guy like Eazy. And he was a very close friend of Eazy's. I made a big deal for him at Capitol Records where he put out CPO, which was a really good record.
It was.
You know, it just so happened that the lady that ran that department there, Gene Riggins, left right after that and went to work at Universal or something. But it was a really good record. And I got nothing but respect for Ren. I've seen Yella once or twice. You know, we weren't that close then, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm not sure that Dre in the beginning would have been as big as he was without Yella. I mean, remember, High Powered Productions was Dre and Yella.
Yella did the drums, a lot of the drums.
He did all the programming, and he picked the records, and, you know, he was a very solid guy for Dre. He was perfect for Dre.
Yeah. What did Yella say on the album? He said, I used to fuck it up at Compton High.
Yeah.
And he started playing the drums.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were... That combination, like you said, sparked that whole movement. You know,
it did for me. Dre Yella was an important part of that equation in the studio at that time.
Definitely. So, before we get out here, any last things you wanna let the people know? You know, I know you have a lot of things going on. Any last things you want to kind of share the world since the mic is yours?
Well, this is a very difficult time in the music business. You know, it's a time that I don't relate to or understand because there's no such thing as albums anymore. People buy singles or download singles, and that's not really a business that I was ever in. I like the business of albums that tell stories. Carole King's Tapestry, N.W.A. You know, that's always the business that I've been in. So this business now sort of puzzles me. How can you listen to a record on a cell phone? You know, when I grew up, people wanted sound systems.
Yes,
they wanted good sound systems.
Nice ones too. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, you know, it's a different time, and Irving was right. It's all about merchandising, and touring. And there's two things, and I'll make this quick because I know you're in a hurry now, but there's only two musical movements that have withstood the test of time. One is music from the church, man. Whether it be gospel, R&B, hip-hop, whatever you want to call it, it all comes from the church. So that has always been the backbone of American music. The other is country western. Country western is R&B, it's church music with drums. So those two musical movements have survived, and they will continue to survive in whatever metamorphosis they come from. So, I think that's the only thing that I do understand still is really those two musical movements. The business itself, really, I am a dinosaur. It's passed me by, so I'm doing other things now, that's all.
As you said.
I'm doing a country western album with a girl named Leslie Coors Mather. That's one of the greatest records that I've ever heard. I think that this record it won't be earth-shaking like N.W.A, but it's a great record, like Taylor Swift makes great records. Nice. My television show will be an important show right from the street. It'll be on cable, and all of us will watch it, man. Not like, Empire, that's a television show. That's not a cable show. And my cable show will be just like N.W.A was. It'll be a street show, but it will have the best directors, the best writers, the best producers, and it will be a great show that you'll be proud of. The other thing I want to say is this. Look, the future of the music business, it's with you, man. It's in your hands. Guys like you, social media, that's where it's at now. So the future of the music business isn't with Jerry Heller. The future of the music business is with Melloe. It's with you, man.
I appreciate that. Y'all hear that? The future is me, Melloe,
Right.
And White Label Radio.
And that's what the future of the music business is, because that's what the kids want and that's what they listen to.
Nice. Well, I want to thank you, sir, for coming through and actually telling your story, because I know that you don't do this very often. So I appreciate you coming down and sharing your story with us. And anytime you want to talk, or actually when the movie comes out, I need to bring you back and get your opinion about the movie.
I'll be here.
So let's get into the song that started it all. And I'm talking about Boys in the Hood. Let's leave it on a high note.
Great. My favorite.